நீ பேசணும். பேசணும் வேண்டாம்.
begin பண்ணலாமா? So, good afternoon to all. It's my pleasure to extend a cheerful welcome to all of you on behalf of the Department of Special Education and NIEPMD. Once again, I welcome everyone. So we have 103 participants as of now. So we are expecting few more participants to join because 400 participants have been registered for this 5 days national webinar series on exercising legal rights for girls and women with disabilities. Yes. So great. Hope you can see and hear me as well. So we have joined for this first day national webinar series on exercising this legal rights for girls and women with disabilities. So yes, before start, if you have questions, please at the end we will come to you for discussion. So you can answer it. You can write it in, write them everything in chat. So we will have the session at the end. So please, I request all the participants to mute your webcam and microphone throughout the webinar for good, better bandwidth management. So on behalf of the department and organization, I welcome everyone to this webinar. So as a short brief of this webinar, today we have our inaugural address by our director, Sri Nachiketa Raut, NIEPMD, and special address by Dr. A. Amarnath sir, Deputy Registrar, Admin, NIEPMD, and then we have the keynote address by Sri P. Kamaraj sir, HOD Department of Special Education, NIEPMD. So with gratitude, I welcome everyone to this webinar. So thank you all. And we have our resource person, Dr. L. Lakshmi, legal consultant, Secunderabad. She is going to talk on the title of this webinar. So I welcome you, madam. for this webinar. So yes. Let us we begin the webinar. So, sir, I would like to call upon Sri Nachiketa Raut, officiating director NIEPMD, a cherished person who is having a very varied experiences and publications, more than 80 presentations and seminar. He is the recipient of Sushruth Award from Department of Science and Technology. So, adding to that, we would like to invite you with the quote: "Your actions inspire us." So, do more and become more. Yes, sir, you are the leader. With this, over to you, sir, to give us an inaugural note for this webinar. Sir, it's over to you, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Thank you, madam. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Right?
Director, sir.
Yes. I am in here. Visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Shall I start? It's the camera sir is also here, and it's a wonderful evening because we are talking about.
Sir, we are not able to hear you, sir. You are not.
Now it's audible. 1 minute.
Sir, we are not able to hear you, sir.
Okay, 1 minute. See. I will reconnect. Is it audible now?
You are not audible, sir.
Audible, sir.
எனக்கு சுத்தமா கேட்கல. நான் பேசுறது கேட்கல. எனக்கு நீங்க கேட்கலடா.
Have I joined? Amara sir. Okay, I wish all of you a good afternoon. And I think from the comments which I'm seeing, I can see that people have, I'm audible as well as visible. Good afternoon, all of you.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
Good afternoon. It's a wonderful evening. It's a wonderful evening that we are talking about exercising legal rights of girls and women with disabilities. And the moment we make laws, see, I look at it like this. When we all came out from the jungles. Now, in the jungle, it is usually the strong ones who has the power. Jiski lathi uski bhai, somebody who has the brute strength or the power with him would be ruling out everything. And that's the law of the jungle, where a big fish eats out a small fish. That's known as the Matsai, or the law of the fish. But the moment we come out from the jungle and form society, then the same thing cannot hold good for all of us. The Matsanaya cannot be taken up because the society is a place which is built up by human beings who are supposed to be having a better intelligence as compared to others, and they devise out the rules and laws in a way that everybody can coexist. Everybody means what? Now, most of you would be students and must have heard of this bell-shaped curve, right? This bell-shaped curve means inverted bell-shaped curve, which includes the entire society. So if you see this bell-shaped curve, then if you take the example something like this, if you enter a classroom of 100 students and say, okay, how many of them are very good singers, then approximately some 15 would be raising up their hands, and those 15 would say they sing extraordinarily good. There would be another 70% of them who are so-called normal, neither very good nor very bad. 15 would be extraordinary, 70 would be normal, and another 15 who would be having really bad, they will be really bad in terms of their singing capacity, something known as amusia. That is, they cannot hold on to the rhythm. So this would be true for any of the skills. It may be painting, it may be drawing, it may be athletic skills where people run or jump. So this distribution of the society, it may be height, it may be weight, it may be anything. So we have this particular normal, which is mean plus minus one standard deviation, known as it's approximately 68% of the population. And there will be 15% who would be having extraordinary skill, and there will be some 15% who would be having very poor skills. Now, when we say the society, it includes all the 100 of them. And it is the responsibility of an evolved society to ascertain, to ensure that the rights, or to ensure that the so-called weaker section or the poorer section of the society also get the chance to participate in the society and have the opportunity to lead a dignified life. So the moment this is to be taken care, then there are certain laws to be made up. And these laws are always made up keeping in view the inclusiveness of the society. Okay. So a group of people who may be lacking out in certain skills in terms of, let us say, mobility, would be called out as a group of people who are physically challenged.
Sir, please check my microphone, sir. It's not audible, sir.
Now it's on?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, I left it out where? I left it out where? Fine, it's audible now? Society. So this particular society, if we say this is a evolved society, we have to ensure that all the members of society, including the set of people who may not be at par of the so-called normals in terms of certain skills. So if it is some sensory skill or some cognitive skills, then some people may not be functioning at par. So they would be termed as locomotor disability, intellectual disability, or physical disability, in which these things come in. The visual capability comes in, the hearing capability comes in, and the other capabilities come in. So there is an essentiality to make out or devise out some laws which will ensure the fact that these people with disabilities also become a participating member of the society. So by any means, this percentage will go to somewhere around 15%. I'm talking about the normal bell-shaped curve and distribution. By any means, this percentage comes in to 10% by WHO standards. With inclusivity, this percentage will further increase. Above 60 years, approximately 3 out of 5 people will be having some hearing loss. Above 70 years, it will be 3 out of 5. So, with emergence of age, the so-called people having disabilities will increase out. So there is a need to make out a set of laws. Similarly, amongst us, if you see, when it comes to struggling hard for basic needs, or it comes to brute power, means, or it comes to body strength. Body strength, I'm not talking about immunity and other things. Body strength, that is to push up a big stone or to lift up a particular thing, then men would be having much more capability, right? But when it comes to so many other things, women would be having a better capability. But in this, in the society, if you see, when it comes to brute strength, it will be men. So there is an essentiality that there should be certain legal rights which should be focused upon women and girls, so that, especially with disabilities, so that they can enjoy out special, they can contribute to what they have to the society, and the society becomes richer and richer. So what has happened? The UNCRPD, the United CRPD, it came something like this, 1980s. In the 1980s, birth centenary of Helen Keller, the deafblind lady. The birth centenary came, and this birth centenary, people with disabilities, they said that fine, we want our abilities to be projected and certain laws to be made up. So the United Nations Convention decided to celebrate. So they started celebrating 1981 to 1992. It is still continuing, and this decade is known as the Asia Pacific Decade of Peace. And this 1981 to 1992 time, they said that no, there needs to be specific laws which have to be made up for people with disabilities, especially Sweden and some of the other countries. They wanted specific laws. United Nations said, the other said, no, need not worry about it. But by the year 2006, it was very evident that we require specific laws. Laws devised out, conventions were made, and finally, approximately 162 people on the first day signed up to these laws, known as the UN Convention, known as UNCRPD. Now, the UNCRPD, India is also a signatory at this point of time. Some 190 odd countries out of these 205 countries are signatories to this particular United Nations Convention. So, this United Nations Convention is being implemented in form of the RPWD Act. So, if you read the first page, there will be some 8 principles, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, like that. And based on these principles, there have been laws which have been made up by the Indian Parliament to ensure out rights for persons with disabilities. One of the basic principles in that is bringing about equality amongst men and women. That means it is a issue which needs to be addressed. Has the RPWD Act done something about it? Yes, the RPWD Act actually has this particular twin in which the mentions out section for that provisions needs to be made for females with disabilities. It may be regarding jobs, employments, reproductive rights, special courts, and other provisions which are there. In these series of webinars which we are doing, we are discussing it's a very fantastic effort which is forth by Sri P. Kamaraj, who is the head of the Department of Special Education, in which we'll be specifically talking about the educational rights, the employment rights, the civil and legal hiring rights, violations and laws against them, and the gender violations and how they are to be addressed out. So these entire series of topics should be covered every day.
One who is behind for many initiative women field over 20 years and more than. So I now invite to give a special address in this webinar, sir. We are waiting to. Yes, sir, please.
Thank you,
Yes.
Good afternoon to all of you. Special thanks to our director, Sri Nachiketa Saudab. A special invitee for this program, Dr. L. Lakshmi and Kamaraj, my colleague, who is the coordinating of this program, and many more people are coming and joining this program to talk about this legal rights of girls and women with disabilities. Even in the general population, that it is $1 million question how much far we achieved the legal rights of women and children. It is $1 million question, but when it comes to children and women with disabilities, I think it is very, we always made a threefold oppression. Women, disability, then the poor, if they become poor, another oppression will be there. Overcoming all these things is very difficult thing. I know we all know that we have a PWD Act, we had a UNCRPD, we need a fundamental rights, we have rights for person with individual children. Many things are available today in the country, in the world, in the many places. But all these things, when you put it into practice, uh, when a person who is not able to exercise the rights, to bring it under the system, to safeguard their rights, it is a highly challengeable job, because each and every corner this is happening, that rights not been provided or not been given to them. Neither the family nor the organizations are not aware of what type of forum to be go, or where to address the issue, where to say about it. All the things are coming, everyday basis is all coming up. It is a very challenging thing for us as a rehabilitation worker. Not only the special education, not only the therapy, not only the economic welfare, it is also one of our responsibility to safeguard the rights of the persons of anyone, whether they're disabled or non-disabled, women or men, child or adult, whoever it may be. The rights, the constitutional rights need to be protected, and they should be facilitated to exercise their rights. Um, you all know that if you talk about 20 years back, we always say that it is a kind of a charity approach or service approach, many things. Now there is no word called charity or services or a consultancy. All these things are now, it's almost over. A child born with a disability having 100% right to have a services, 100% right to live in the society, 100% right to have a guarantee, right to have a social protection, right to have a special needs to be provided by support to the person with the disability to live in the society. It's all very fine, we are having it. But put it in practical, we are all facing a very big Himalayan task to do that. I hope this seminar, this webinar will put a light on our approach, how much we are talking, even everyday basis also, we are also not talking with many people about their rights, how to go about it. Even a person coming to us, sir, I don't have a bus pass. Having a bus pass is a right of a disabled person to travel free of cost. But that right to be exercised, the person should go to an office, get this card, and how to get it. Make sure the child should get it. If a women with a disability, if anything, the government is supporting to get it, there is a way to do that. But many of us, we don't know how to go about it. Many of the schemes are not being used. When we don't know how to use the schemes, the rights are cannot also be guaranteed. So all together, go together and provide together, so that the person with a disability can enjoy and exercise the rights. And women, especially women with disabilities, I already told you, they are told that they are experiencing a threefold oppression, the stigma, the gender, and the disability. All the three things they are not able to overcome that. It's very badly affected the women. I'm very thankful to Kamaraj and to the organizers, Mr. Kamaraj and the organizers, for selecting the very good topic, that very right topic. Very soon we are going to celebrate to guarantee the rights of the persons with disabilities and girls of the disability. The Constitution Day is now meaning. So as a starting point, this program has been organized by Mr. Kamraj, and every day we are having a lot of sessions. I think it will be very useful. Uh, I gone through the topic that education rights, employment rights, civil legal rights, and all. I also ask that presenters and whoever it may be, please add when you are deprived, whom to contact, what to do. That aspect, please add into that. Not only telling the right will not be useful, how to achieve it also, the ways and means also needs to be explained. If we tell them, it will fulfill the objective of legal rights of the girls and women. With this short note, I humbly submit my opportunity to tell something few words about this webinar. I hope it will be very, very helpful for everyone, whoever participate, all are participating in this program. Once and again, thanking the organizers and special invitees and my director. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you, sir, for well spoken about the scenario and current scenario and the past. So we will also include the objectives to achieve, how to achieve the rights.
Yes.
That topic will also be adding. So we hope create awareness among the people, and definitely it will throw light on the aspects to discuss on this area. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So now
Thank
we are
you.
moving.
Thank you.
Now we are moving to the next, to the keynote address. So I would like to invite Shri P. Kamraj sir, HOD, Department of Special Education. So has been having a rich experience over 20 years and more than. So he has been supporting, providing a good support and guidance, and taking us and proceed do make us to do things done. So it's thank you very much, sir. So I now invite you, sir. It's over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Respected Director, Administrators, HODs, and other staff members, my department colleagues and other staff members. So it is our privilege to host the webinar on the rights of women and girls exercising various rights on par with others. So this 5 days series of webinars, we are going to discuss about the various rights and of course the objective to achieve the rights. The various rights like educational rights, employment rights, and legal hirings, rights of legal hirings, and domestic violence, gender disparities. So we are going to discuss a series of webinars on this topic. So today we are here to discuss about the educational rights of girls and women with the disabilities. The status of girls' education or women's education in India. From the beginning, if you go back and then analyze from the olden English, so the male were given more opportunity than the female. The female were put as assistants for the males in the process of teaching and learning. And not much of the females were engaged. The upper caste or the upper social, high social economic status, those people were given opportunity and they were made a special provision at their home for learning the subject. So it was the American mission in the year 1824. The year 1824, American mission. So they have started a school exclusively for girls in Bombay. In the 19th century, the efforts were made by the missionaries to provide education for girls. And of course, those days we were not aware of that, not much of awareness on persons with disabilities. So we have to understand that persons with disability also may be there those days. And persons with the girls or women with disability may be also there in those days for getting the education. So various provisions are made for the various provinces given education opportunity for girls and the women by and large. So recently, considerable improvement in the women's education. We can understand that in 1991, the literacy rate of women was 39.3% and rose up to 53.1% in 2011, 65.5%. So we may be getting more number in the 2021 statistics. Because what is so it is evident that the women are getting into all the departments as far as men. The educational opportunity, they utilize maximum. They utilize the make use of the opportunity maximum. And then they venture. And then they show the talent, potential. And they are able to reach out everywhere. There are certain initiatives made by our country for facilitation of education of women and girls. So the constitution of law, so that it provided a lot of opportunity and the projects, various projects like Mahila Shamika program and then Kasturba Gandhi, Balika Vidyalaya, and then the national program for education of girls at elementary and secondary level. Bharat. So various, that programs, various projects were launched for facilitation of girls and the women's education. And recently the Beti Bachao Beti Badao. So this is practically taking place for technical education for women and girls. And dear participants, so these girls, all the schemes and benefits are open to persons with disabilities. The girls or the women with disability also access all these schemes and benefits. So apart from that, there are certain challenges where it can encounter in the way of education of girls and women with a special school program. Afterwards, so they are withdrawn from the school, be it inclusive school or integrated school or special school. So these are certain constraints where the children with disabilities are denied of access to education. So dear participants, it is in our hands to overcome such difficulties. So if you look at that a teacher working in a school setup, so in the beginning, it was that the main method so they were not providing education. But Gurukula system, usually the main the teachers and the male students were there, male people were the students, and gradually, so when the changes come, formal structure of school came into, the ratio become more. The female teachers are now getting, the number of female teachers are more than the male teacher when it become formal education. And the enrollment of female also more nowadays when compared to the older ages. But even then, there are certain issues, there are certain problems which encounters in the way of accessing the education of women and girls with the disabilities. The population of persons with disabilities is 2.68 crore. The male and female population is like 56% and 44%. Male is 56% and female is 44%. The majority of them are residing in rural. But 61% of the children with disabilities attend educational institutions. So 43% are reported to be female. So this is the 2001 NSSO report. The illiterate percentage was observed more with the girls than boys. The enrollment also, is imbalanced. So if you look at, the enrollment in the primary school, it is more. And whereas in the middle school and the high school, it is gradually decreasing. So as a result, it makes impact on getting employment for persons with disability, women and girls, employment for persons with disabilities, and as a result, it makes adverse effect on managing the family effectively. So as a result, today there are a lot of issues they encounter in managing the family and domestic issues and gender discrepancies. So how are we going to manage all these things? How are we going to face all these things? So there are two aspects. One is that the disability commissioner is, every state is having the disability commissioner to address the issues, and the central level, that commissioner, he is also responsible for addressing the issues. And apart from that, so our judiciary system, so that also provides justice to all the people, including persons with disabilities. Are we addressing all these needs? Are we addressing all these issues to the right person to get clarified, to get justice? Are we addressing all these issues to the right place to get the justice? So how are we going to address? How are we going to overcome all these issues? So these things we are going to discuss in this series of webinar. So we have a consultant and experience in guiding department with disabilities, especially women with disabilities, to guide you, to discuss and guide you in these aspects. So I thank the opportunity provided for me to discuss on this issue and work to the organizer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the explanation. You have elaborated many aspects. Some highlights like the statistics stated and the situation is very well explained. So there is need and there is the reason for practicing the legal rights. There should be that should come up. So thank you for that, sir. So I hope the webinar will discuss all the practicing aspects, the exercising with the legal rights for girls and women with disabilities. So next we have our invited speaker. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So we are moving on to the next. Now we will begin with the session. We have the invited speaker Lakshmi, legal consultant from Secunderabad, to talk about the legal rights and educational rights of persons and women with disabilities. A short introduction about the speaker. Dr. L. Lakshmi. So she is having more than 25 years and more than the years of experience. So she has been completed her doctorate in socio-legal issues of the of disabilities in India, with special reference to intellectual disability. So her areas of specialization like labor and industrial relation, environmental law, mercantile business, corporate link, and many more. So she has been hold the position in as advocate and as assistant professor, and currently with ICFAI, that's Institute for Chartered Financial Analysis of India. So she has published many articles, many papers in conferences and seminars. So the subject expert, she's been a subject expert for taking a class on this legal aspects with as a guest faculty in many universities and colleges. And earlier she was worked with Nalsar, a national law university, that is the National Academy of Legal Studies and legal studies and research. So it's a national law university. So also she held as legal advisor for Bell. So we have been very much grateful that you have accepted our invitation, and we thank you, ma'am, for accepting to take part in this webinar. So it's now we invite you, madam, to talk on the educational rights of the today topic in the 5 days webinar series. Um, it's now to you, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am. So, ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Am I audible?
Yes,
Am I
yes, ma'am.
audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Very clear? Very clear?
Yes, ma'am. It's clear,
Right.
ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Right. A very good evening to everyone. And I thank Mr. Sri Nachiket Rao sir and Amarnath sir and Mr. Kamraj for giving me an opportunity to come and take up this platform to talk about certain burning issues which you people keep it to yourself and you can't come out to the legal path. Am I audible, ma'am? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, fine. You gave me a very long introduction about me, but you forgot to tell that I am a BMR also. And I was associated with NIEPMD Secunderabad for all the legal aspects wherever, whichever course you want to take. So I was part of what do you call your education, employment, syllabus, whatever they were making, and law was being added to it. So I'm very much with them. And one small correction, I'm not with ICFAI anymore, and I am a standing counsel for central government. So my area is so I'm with the dealing with disability and the railways and all as a consultant, right? And with the permission of the officiating director, sir, and the registrar and the HOD of special education, I would like to give a small prep for my other 4 days lecture. So, presuming that most of them are not so much aware of what the legal aspects or how did they go and all. It was very informative to hear from the director, sir, about UNCRPD and Amarnath, sir, raising an issue that how and where to go this should be covered. So instead of directly going to the topics of educational rights or employment rights, first I would like to just give a brief note on what the system is in India. Am I okay? Can I go ahead with that? And with that, hello,
Yes, ma'am.
can I
Yes,
can
yes, ma'am. Please proceed.
can you see the PPT?
No, ma'am.
No,
Not yet, ma'am.
not yet.
Yes.
Can you request Mr. Kamrat sir? I've already sent it on his WhatsApp and other thing. If
Okay, okay, ma'am.
one, please.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Just.
And by the time it gets connected and into all the other speakers and listeners, let me just tell you that we, being in the legal field, would like to go into different Ws. These are nearly, and many of you usually say that that is what is required before we really say that whether we have really infringed or we got infringed our rights or what. So we follow some W system that is different. I'm not going to do all that, but I'll just briefly tell you. And if the PowerPoint could be shown. Hello, ma'am. Can I still get something?
Ma'am, ma'am, you continue, ma'am. We will connect with PPT in a minute, ma'am.
Okay. Now, so we have these 8 Ws, which we say why, what, who, whom, when, where, and whether. So if you speak to a legal person, they'll definitely ask you these many questions. And the same is represented in the legal system in the form of law. So before we really look into what rights really the persons with disability do have in our country or whatever it is, I would like to give a disclaimer clause because I have been observing there were nearly 116 participants and now it has come to 99 and maybe many of them must be watching across. I'm not here to give the statistics at this moment, and I'm not what do you call going to go into any statements that would give again a chance for somebody to discuss at length on certain issues. I'm just giving you insight into what the law says and where we can go for the connecting links. So many of them who come to us for consultation and all that, they come with varied issues, whom to go, where to do, what to do. So in that regard, first of all, let us know what that RTD is telling, where is it coming from, what is supposed to be done to these people, what suggestions you can give as a special educator or teachers or whatever it is in working in the profession. So in that regard, yeah, in that regard.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, proceed, ma'am. I am now sharing the screen, ma'am. Yeah, PPT.
Okay. Yeah. Can I go ahead? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I think you all must have, during your courses, you would have read something about Rubin walls. This is a flower vase, which you would have seen with two faces, half perfect, I would have shown you in my PowerPoint there, and then you would understand what I'm trying to tell you about. For us, what is law is just a simple English language, or rather a local customary practice. We talk about these rights and duties when we ourselves can uh, follow them on our own, right? So in that situation, we all have evolved. As I was telling, we all have come from different backgrounds, and we were living in a very haphazard manner. Some regularity has to be brought. So we had to chip in some code of conduct among ourselves. So probably it began as a form of a social contract theory among a small village. First it begins in the family, then village, then in other places. So similarly it spreads to others, professions and all that. So for that reason, every country, wherever the legislation is to be taken up, there are certain sources from where they make law. And you have heard your speakers before telling that so-and-so law came in, or the difficulties were there in the before, in so-and-so year and all that. So everybody starts from some particular source, and then so law also takes up that as a hint that yes, if I make a provision, at least 75 to 80% people should accept it. So in that situation, if I bring a new law telling that from tomorrow onwards you should wear a helmet immediately, or you should wear mask like this, then people, or buy some mask from so and so place, then automatically nobody will listen. It will take immediate repulsion would come to us. So what we take as a person, people will accept that only we should take it and convert it into some particular understandable language. And that is how we take the sources. That means custom. What is a customary practice in one particular area before we make a particular law? And as rightly said by my predecessors and speakers and all that this was considered as a charity. So be it in India, be it in other countries or wherever it is, people thought this was our responsibility, our spiritual obligation, our moral obligation to take care of the needy in our families, villages, or any cities or whatever it is. Special laws were not required for these people because it is understood that the families will take care of them. So when the laws came, they took in each country what was the practice. That is why for most of the time it was the medical model that got. They thought that they can give some treatment and they could go. Now with the changing situation, we have to change, saying that remove those barriers, environmental barriers, attitudinal barriers. So that concept came up. We'll discuss that when we come to the education and all, where it is very neatly mentioned. But for me today, it is just a general preparatory thing. Then we go for the questions. Acceptance for the people is taken up. Can you show that 8 Ws? It has been shown. I can't see that because my connectivity has got some problem here.
8 Ws, ma'am. Second slide.
How can I see it on my this one? I'm using the sign.
Just pin on NIEPMD National Institute, ma'am. In the name.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll continue. Yeah. When I said this 8, I'll ask you to go for the next one. Hello, can you take to the first one onwards, please? Can you take to the sources, third slide?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now, yes, ma'am. Third slide, ma'am. Now it is.
Yeah. Can you go to the next one?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. We are on the slide like public. We are on the slide like personal, public, and national, international conventions. On this slide, please, I'm trying to tell you that why do we need law? So when we say why do we need law, we have differentiated that in certain areas we would enter into the lives of personal lives of people. So personal here is civil. Civil means between two different individuals or two different groups related to certain property or issues, maybe where the loss can be compensated by paying money or the thing can be replaced or something like that. So all issues related to property, service matters, education, all these would get covered under civil law where no other than these two people will be affected. I'm giving the general outline. Then, when we come to the public system, wherein if I hit my neighbor or if I hit my student in a class now, that is what the Right to Education Act has got into also, the liability immediately shoots up. Earlier, it was a teacher who would be very strict with the child would be considered as a best teacher, probably because the child would learn. But now you cannot raise your voice, you cannot punish them, you cannot do anything because there are helplines for them to immediately contact the commissioners and all those higher authorities. So there is harassment and physical abuse of the children. So now that becomes an offense. What was once a moral responsibility or a moral guidance has become now offense and it is liable to be punished. So when we come to the RPD Act, I will relate it when and what are the measures and how we may be liable there. So it is now again, I repeat, a disclaimer that this is only a prep thing that I'm giving you, outline. Then come to national, international conventions and obligations. The Indian Constitution, when we were framing, when our forefathers were framing, we have because it was a customary practice to travel to other places or people would come from there were mercantile experiences. We have seen the growth of economy and industry, exchange of what you call communication has enhanced our way of what you call life, living status. And the bad signs were we were invaded, all that we have seen. The best part was probably we learned different languages and all that. And towards end, we had to have some international obligations also when we were doing some trade relationships and there was some mercantile relationship with other countries. So we had to respect that even till today. So we follow some international obligations in the form of conventions, which member countries, as Mr. Raut was telling, nearly 162 countries sat and approved the UNCRP. Can we go to the next one, please? So as in my next slide, I have given you personal means civil related to property matters and related to probably if more authentic one which you people want, your election, employment, all these kind of things would come here. When we come to public, I told you as offenses against property, the body, and also security of the nation. Wherever, if there is some kind of threat to that and all, there are nearly some code of conduct that we have laid down. I think most of you would have heard it in what do you call or watched on the movies, IPC, something like that. So that comes under this. That means if I hit my neighbor, if I hit my student, or if I do some harm to other person, it is not the injured who goes to the court, but it is the state that takes that as if the offense has happened against them and they take us to the courts. It is their responsibility. So who is this person now here? Executor. That is the police who comes into the picture and they say, you got injured, you stay aside, we'll take care of your case. So now it is public prosecutors and all that language that comes up there. And then comes your international, as I was telling you, we have human rights. Then we have UN and all, so where we have Security Council, peacemaking, then ECOSOC, all those kind of environmental protection that catch word. So these are the terms that have come up in the modern day-to-day life. So we have these duties correspondingly coming like this. Can we go to the next one, please? So these are our obligations. Are we on the next? Yeah. When I said customs, traditions, legislation, we have to see the contemporary laws also. When I said obligations are there, automatically next comes is what is going on in other countries or in contemporary society. I heard again Mr. Rao telling the SAARC nations and all those. So we have divided for our own economic reasons, developed, underdeveloped, and those countries. So we have different groups, and different groups have been made based on our cultural practices or more resemblances towards that. And in that regard, when we sit for making a law, we have to cross-check what is going on the in other countries also. And who will look into this? Who would ring the bell? It is a judicial decision. It is a judicial decision. I was listening to them. Somebody told that in other countries this happens like this. But first of all, how to bring it to the notice of our own people that we require to change? Who tells? When a problem comes, when they go to the court, the judicial authorities will sit down and they decide, look into the pigeonholes, that is the sections that have been drafted, and when they see that we don't have any relief for this particular problem before us, they look across contemporarily to other countries' legislations, but they don't pick it up from there, but they'll just say, in my opinion, we have some, when a judgment order is given, the judge usually writes hundreds of pages. Sometimes they write in one page only. And so when we read that 100 pages, it becomes very difficult because what he has to say, he will say in 1 or 2 lines, it's done. But at the end, he has to try to tell us from all this, what I'm trying to show you on this slide, that what are the legislations, what provisions this guy or this person has got affected. And because there is no law, what is the international obligation on us? And if at all that obligation has not been ratified in our country, what decisions in other countries they have taken in such a situation? So can we bring it? So it is the judicial system that actually rings the bell and then guides the legislatures that please, in future, these people, they require some legislation or they require some provision, add on to this, add on to this. So that is the reason why we take these measures. And when the legislatures, when they sit and they understand that, yes, the demand is from this section, these people, they require some rights and all. And when they attend to these UN conferences and conventions and all, they get these information and then they come to our country back and put it before the parliament and they get it ratified. It's a long process. When we go to the topics directly tomorrow, then I'll say how many decades it has taken for us. It is not something new that has come in a golden platter. And the convention which UNCRPT, which you all know as 2008 one, it has been going on since long. And it's like it was with great difficulty we had to incorporate these changes. And have got affected and many of them have got benefit. Again, I say it is the same system which we follow. Maximum people should get benefited out of what the law is supposed to tell. So 75% of people, if they get benefited, it is an excellent opportunity given to everyone. Can we go to the next, please? Can we go to the next? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, please. Sorry.
Yeah,
Stay. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody says, can we get this PPT onto the mail and all? Please, that all you can do towards end after all I complete. I just want you to just get an insight into the system because it is you also as teachers, as an individual would be benefited with this. First, you know your rights and then please talk about others' rights. That is our philosophy. Now, next, what I'm trying to tell you is whom to approach. Are we on the same? No. the methods. What were the methods followed previously by these, our forefathers and all those? There are two methods which the whole world, the legal system follows. This one is adversarial and one is alternative dispute resolution. Right? Adversarial means advocacy to judicial process and courts. You may say in those good olden days, were there really any courts and lawyers and all? Yes. If you go back to our Vedas and the documents, Hindu or Muslim or Christianity, one disclaimer clause for all the listeners, please. I'm a law person. Don't treat anything that I say into a different angles or interpretations. For me, all religions and all different parts of the country are same. And the third point, what I would like to say is, please don't draw conclusions based on my presentation just now and start comparing with what is happening in US and UK and all of this. Now with UNCRPD, everything has come into the same levels. Only thing is technical advancements and the facilities infrastructure wise, probably their demographic status is very less. So they have more resources to distribute and provide. Whereas when it comes to our place, please, there are lots of barriers, attitudinal barriers, physical barriers, which are disabling people to come till to the courts. So for us, it is the awareness and accessibility provisions that are more important rather than comparing with others. So let us not look at what is happening in US and others, and feel inflated that we don't have all these. We do have, and it is in your hands as future teachers or teachers presently working to guide properly. In that reason, I'm telling you this adversarial is advocacy through judicial process. That means whatever method or processes were available, we were doing it. So in India, if we go back in our Vedas, Lord Narada and all those people have already written in the Hindus what has to be done if there is a disabled person in the family. What way the property should be given to them. Who should take care? What is when it came to Kautilya's Arthashastra, he also gave the directions to the kings that how a person with disability should be treated in their courts and all that. So it was well laid down principles and methods that they followed and they were drafted. And Lord Macaulay, when he came into India and when they were about to leave and they were supposed to prepare some draft legislation for us, constitutional draft in 1935. In fact, they studied Sanskrit, they learned all this, they got it translated into English, and then this is how they incorporated the provisions in IPC and CRPC, which stand till today without disturbance. Now we are talking about women, girl child, or children in general, disabled and all that. But let me tell you, in 1860s and 19th centuries, 1935s, they never thought that in India, a child becomes a responsibility of the state. They thought and presumed that Indian child would always be taken care of. It is utter chaotic situation that has come to now in our country that we are not able to take care of these people. We are not taking care of our age-old parents, children, right? So we never presumed at that stage that this would be the stage today. So it was understood that they would be taken care very well and they should be respected. All that was very much present. Now, if certain benefits and all are not being given, there is no remedy available through the courts and all. You cannot argue or you cannot take up anything. The next method is alternative dispute resolution. This is called as ADR. That is, what is it alternative? I think you must all have heard in your different states, panchayats, panchas, these people, the village elders or family elders or in caste or in your particular domain, religion or anybody, there will be some elders, some wise men or a group of people to whom you would rush to in case of any confusion about certain provisions or something like that. So usually you elect your own village representatives and you go to them. That was a very good idea. So same thing was prevalent in every trade, practice, employment sector, everywhere. A group of tailors, they would have a senior tailor who would suggest that no, this is not the way you should fight for resources or anything like that. Similarly, shipping, fisherman, or any other manufacturing unit, this was the system followed. So they had their own system of taking care of solving their own issues. This was alternative dispute resolution. That has come to now called as Lok Adalats. That we'll see later. So that's why I said there were two systems that began across the globe and in our country also, and now still they go on. Can we go to the next, please? Can we go to the next? Can we go to the next, please?
Ma'am, we have changed, ma'am. It is visible now, ma'am. Please.
Yeah, okay. So we have some obligations, as I told you. Then we come to Indian Constitution. Can you go to the next? Are we on the Indian Constitution?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I can't see. I'm telling you that's a problem. Right. Now there are three things that I have tried to show you. I said government, people, and international. What I was trying to tell you that international is obligation. But come to government. In India, we have you all have studied, known legislature, executive, and judicial. In judiciary, I said regular and special courts. Right. And opposite to that, when I said government, for the people, by the people, this is common dialogue by everyone. Everybody knows this. When we say legislature, they have drafted a beautiful book, a huge book. And oh, I should zoom a little bit on my. You can't listen to me? Yeah, right. So when I said this government, when they take the initiative, the legislators, your elected representatives, they make laws for us. And that is what the book says. The Constitution is the guiding principle for all of us, be it the citizens as well as non-citizens who come to our country. What safeguards we have to take, everything is written in this. So it's the, what do you call, Bhagavad Gita, Bible, or whatever it is for all of us. So the legislature, they have drafted certain provisions which say that these are very, very fundamental to all of us. So you know the fundamental rights. Every one of you say, we know the fundamental rights. What right I have, 19, 21, is very common for all of you. So, but I'll directly come to that point where in your RPD Act has come into existence. And it is, we have certain articles called as 14, the 14 number over there. This 14 is equality. Everybody should be treated equally. It is not that the PD Act was not treating them equally or anything. It was trying to bring them out, but it was more of a medical model. You all know it. There it was education and employment rights also were provided, but it was limited to only few people. Now, whereas in absence of PD Act or RPD 14 and 15 was taking care of, 14 says equality, 15 says, though we are telling, it is giving direction to the government, state and center that when you make laws, please treat everybody equally. 14 says. 15 says when you are making laws, please there should be some kind of special treatment be given and special provision should be added for whom? For women, children, elderly and disabled. Now, disability, they did not mention that it is a person with disability, intellectual, visual, or whoever it is, other categories. Then it was people who got injured, regular people also who got injured, maybe at work, because there was an international obligation under International Labour Organization. We have something called ILO, which is directly related to so-called our employment topic over here. Provide certain facilities for temporary disablement, and permanent disablement. And that is where this 15 was brought in. And when the 15 was brought in, and 15.3 subclause especially mentions about women. They say that women should be given priority because there is some kind of economic disparity. There was some kind of lowering of their empowerment in some manner. Now, let me take you back to a little bit of sociological issues, wherein why we had to bring in this 15.3, presuming that women were suppressed or not empowered. Reason given is the women have by biologically 5 stages. I come to the point because we have a topic related to girl. A girl, a female life stage. When we look into the legal aspects, when we sit for framing law, we take it into different categories. 0 to 2 years, 0 to 5 years, then 5 to 15 years, 15 to 25, then we go up. So it is reversed. The empress stage for any female person is around 25 years when she gets married and goes into her matrimonial home, or she starts living on her own with her family. It is she is the boss of the house. So that is what was the presumption taken in Indian philosophy. Reason we respect women in all the states. When a child is born, a girl child, she is a goddess Lakshmi in the house, Durga in the house, a blessed person in the house, and she is Parayadhan always. So she should be taken, trained comparison contemporarily across the globe. It is the same, be it in Europe, be it in US, anywhere. A girl should, at least India is better. We were having freedom that the girls would run nicely, play and all, or learn different things and all that. But in other countries, it was very difficult. They should not have this much of waste and all that kind of. Japan and all were very quite strict. If you look at the disability rate for their movement and all was or is rather high over there. Whereas in our country, we were not having these issues. But yes, come back. So in the stages of that, when a woman moves from uh, unmarried status to married status, and she goes on to the family way, because biologically she has to undergo for 9 months stage of carrying a child. This is a disabling period for her economically. That is, she cannot or she may not be able to earn. The story goes back to the caveman when the female was not able to go along with him to the jungle to fetch food. He had to keep her in a cave and then feed her, bring food from very far off places. So these kind of things put a woman from the beginning as a burden or on not an equal footing at economical level. So that is where the disparity arose, and even till today it goes. And that is why you find now the present rate of family disputes increasing more. They expect the females to work, earn, as well as take care of the family without sharing off any work. And now let me tell you one thing. Pandemic situation now, the presently what is going on has increased these family disputes more. And there are lots and lots of cases being filed before the courts telling that we cannot continue with this kind of marriage, wherein the parents of many of your persons with disabled are also coming because the father is also at home, mother is also at home, children are also at home. She is unable to do her work, neither do provide for the services for the child, and she is bogged down now. So in these situations, the present rate of disputes are more towards this end. And now, as I was telling you, this was the directive given initially that girl child should be taken care of, provided food, free education, and all that. It was just a directive. When I say directive, the government, if every state government, if they have money, they can do. If they have resources, they can provide. Otherwise, there was no obligation. It was not a fundamental right. 15.3 later in 1972, which we got amended, we included this. So that is how we got a proper legislation now. And in every act, wherever we see a woman role would be there because there is 30% reservation assigned for the women. So that is how it is. Now let's go to now one thing. Now, why there was a pressure on the Indian government to frame PD Act in 95 and all that? That because Human Rights Commission was very active upon this. UN HRC, that was the demand then. And every country was signatory to this. So in 82, even we had to take it up. The things went on for a decade. In 95, we got right. So then UNCRPD came in 2000. Before 2006, we were sitting along with them for discussions and all. Ratification came in India in 2008 later. So that is how we have incorporated the provisions, and there was pressure on us shift from medical model to this so-called now the removal of barriers and economic and environmental barriers and all. So that is how we have shifted. Now coming to executive, the role of executives looking at IAS officers, IPS, and all this. It is a permanent category that takes care of the needs of the people to whom they have been assigned. And this is where, directly coming to RPD Act, your commissioners will come into picture. Now, how are these commissioners, what they have to do, what they are doing, all these we'll see later on in the Act. But for your understanding, I'm just trying to tell you that executives would be the people who are putting into practice, implementing what has been laid down in the acts and the rules provided. Now, judiciary, this is where the interpretation comes. What is that interpretation? Legislature would have drafted. I was listening to one of the speakers here. They said there are many schemes that have come up, and in that schemes, many of them are not reaching to the public. So now, how do we go? Against whom do we go? How do we know that, yeah, this provision is rightly explained or not? I'll give you one small example here. Indian legal system doesn't say he or she actually. There is only in IPC we have Indian Penal Code that says that he or she is equal. I mean, there is no difference between he or she. When they read a law, it says he. Now, people should not feel that it is not meant for legal females. No, it is also meant for females. But where would you read about this? Not in IPC. We have another act which tells that all the laws in the country should be understood like that. So, for in layman's term, an elderly person is trying to tell you, please look at this from this angle, not from the other side. So that is how judiciary's role is to help us in understanding what the provision says. So in that situation, now we have the regular courts as well as special courts. Earlier, there were only civil and criminal courts, as we will be going and looking into the hierarchy of the courts next, then in that situation. So now we have special provisions, probably. Now people here means, for me, it is the 21 RPDs, NGOs, NPOs, special schools, and any other legal entity who are providing service in the form of employment or they're providing employment to these people or anything on that. So there are lots of people. So can we go to the next slide, please? Can we go to the next? Are we on the next, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Now, in that regard, as I was telling you, what are these rights on which the legislators and all these people could talk about? I am directly coming to your topic, the given topic here for us. And I say, what are these rights probably on which we would be discussing? So here, for example, education. Your Right to Education Act that began in draft in 2008 onwards, or 9, then 10. It came out with flaws. Then there were amendments where you all know very well that inclusion part had to be mentioned. So with amendment 2012, the act came. But it was based on the Convention Against Discrimination in Education. So there is international convention. Based on that only, the Right to Education Act was enacted in our country. The idea began there. Then when we talk about the girl child also, Convention on Rights of Child is there. wherein across the globe, again, we understood the girl child was getting affected in many aspects because the economy part I was telling you has come. So that is also based on this invention, right? Then gender discrimination, there is a whole lot of a convention for women itself. This is for elimination of all forms of discrimination against women. So it is not one particular provision under one particular act we are talking about this. Almost all the legislation made in the country had to include certain provision or the other principles laid down under this convention in some form or the other. For example, in our RPD Act, we would see it as what protection should be given to them. And then when we go to Companies Act, probably, or so let's take an example of Companies Act. There you would find that if a woman entrepreneur wants to start a company, what benefits should be given to her, what schemes, how facilities should be given, like that. Again, if it's a tribal woman, what should be the next mode of action for her? Then any other person coming from backward area, how can we give them any relaxation and all? So this kind of discrimination has to be eliminated. So we have, and I was telling you, you are UNCRT. Can we go to the next, please? Next slide, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Then whom should we approach? On that? No, sorry. Whose duties is it? I don't know if many of you are aware of it or not. This was actually a state enactment. In Indian Constitution, we have three different lists. Something called a union, state, and concurrent list. And when we want, so at that point of time, this state subject had to be removed from state and then bring it into what do you call central subject. And then they said that yes, it should be uniformly applied throughout the country, whether states have resources or no resources. For that reason, that is how very speedily the things have started and we got an enactment. Otherwise, that is where we got stuck up actually. Then in that situation, a present RPD Act, the beneficiaries are, who are these authorities, who should take care of all these are, this would include your NGOs, NPOs, public and private entities and everyone, right? Then who are these individuals? Now, individuals are just not RPDs alone. Their parents are not even the guardian. The entire society dealing service provisions. 21 RPDs would come into picture. Now, can we go to the next? Which authority? As I was asked, that please refer to these also. So, with reference to RPD Act, the draft has changed. The style of what they call construction of these legislature in acts has changed from 1980s onwards. Earlier, it was punitive language. Punitive language in the sense, if you don't do this, I'll punish. If you don't do this, I'll put you behind bars for this much time. This was the language. But 80 onwards, there was a lot of pressure internationally from the what you call conventions wise. So what we started using is a positive language. If you do this, I'll give you this incentive. If you provide this, you will be benefited. If you take up this scheme, you will have some kind of what do you call a duty free or something like that. So in that situation, we had to change the language also. There were a lot of specializations that have emerged. Technically, the courts were not equipped to look into all the disputes. So every area was developing. So consumers had a different list. People like us were having different lists. So we should approach is all the language in almost all the acts are courts in general can be approached. Are you listening? Most of you, please try to understand. RPD Act is also framed in such a manner. When I take tomorrow, then you will understand that how general courts can be approached in what situations. Then we have some special statute. RPD Act is a special statute. It is meant for only these 21 beneficiaries and nobody else. Otherwise, General Act, Companies Act, it is for everyone, right? Then you have Properties Act, then it is meant for everyone. Domestic violence, which you're going to see in future, is for everyone. It is irrespective of religion or whatever it is. But this is a special statute. So when a special statute is devised, there should be a special person who should sit and understand the problem. Remember the panchayats, panchayats, and all those people, as I was telling you, some expert from within. So we cannot go to a tribunal because it's a special court which looks into, 3 people will sit and they will decide. But here we need to have some internal mechanism to look into what has been written in the legislation is being applied properly or not, being implemented properly or not. That is why they created a commissioner. You will see the role and purpose of the commissioner when that particular situation comes. So the commissioner's role is to properly implement, see that it is being provided. So these issues, and wherever possible, he will take up something to investigate, check upon, and then decide on his own. So we have given them a little bit of civil courts powers and little bit of criminal court powers. So civil court in the sense he should follow some procedure laid down in a common code, and criminal is related to an offense, he has to follow those. Now, especially we have thought of having a special court for the person with disability. How would you have a special court? Will you have a total number of people, everybody arguing over there? No. Please, there would be, wherever there is a provision, the law says at such speed we cannot provide. So what we have to do is catch or get into a running system. That is what India is following now. So special court in the sense, don't expect a special separate room meant for these. A judge sitting in a district level court, usually why we say district court, again, when we come to the hierarchy, you will understand where do they stand. District court, these people, the judges sitting over there, minimum should have 7 years of practice, standing and all that in the court. Why 7 years? Just I'll tell you, logically, please look at. When a lawyer or a law student passes out, he must be around 21, 22. Just like any other graduate, they also come out around 21, 22. They don't know anything about the general life. So they get into the practice. For 5 years, they would undergo all the rigors of training, what law, how to apply what and all that. So by that time, they may come to 28 or 29 or something. They may get married, they may not get married. They get married, they have family, their responsibility in the office increases, the burden increases. So he has to balance the societal obligation, his personal obligation. So he will have a better understanding. By the time they come to 7 years of standing or 10 years of standing, he is able to understand what is right and why this must have happened, why this situation must have happened in particular person's house. So that is why, if you look into the concept of family court, it was a special court that was enacted with great difficulty. And they had to, if you read the legislative purposes for which it was enacted, the discussions and all, they said very clearly, a family court should be kept in the levels of district court. Similarly, now, when tomorrow I take you to that level, wherein the RPDP, the rights of persons with disability can be understood not by a lower court person, but only by whom? By a district court judge. So the matters related to RPD should be directly taken up where civil matters and all that at district level. So the the hierarchy has been decided based on the issue in the hand. So they will be able to understand the society and the person standing before them, and they will not take a rash decision. That is what the presumption is, and that is how the special courts start in our PD Act with this. And of course, when I take you to the criminal part, it will go down also to the first level, second level of municipal courts and all that. But here, this is it. So special courts and the RPD Act has been empowered at district level. So that means we will not have a special person. Only the judge sitting in the district court will have certain matters coming before him related to RPD issues. So he will deal. He would have come prepared, or he would have got a special, these people have workshops where in all these, please don't be under the presumption that the judges are not aware of, I'll say, the RPD Act. Advocates may not be aware. Most of the advocates, they may not be aware. For them, I'll tell you, my own colleagues say, everything is pagal hai. उसको कुछ जरूरी नहीं है, उसको नहीं मिलता है, because law actually says a person with insanity doesn't come into picture. What is the question of insanity? This person is intellectual disabled or physically disabled. Hey, what will they do? They cannot do anything. Give them something and send them off. क्या करेगा? They will be dependent on others. Till today, the perception among them is like this. Now the trend has changed a little bit because there are lots of schemes available. Let me tell you, you need to, now the abuses begin, that people should be aware of, that if the person is disabled, if you get married to them, you will get these benefits. You will get employment, concessions, reservations, you will get jobs. So it's another way of abuse that has come up, which most of them are not aware of, right? So in that situations, who will understand whether it is a positive relationship with that mind they have got married, or to abuse, or to take better concessions and all that recognition they have got. So a special court starts at district level. Then empowered authority. Who is this empowered authority? We don't know in future. When these special courts also may be burdened with lots of issues, probably some other authority may be created by the under the rule making power. And so the RPD Act has already mentioned that in future some other person may also be given this kind of a right to look into these matters and dispose. Right. Then let's can we go to the next? So where are they supposed to go to? I mean, what law they should look for? That is what you were asking. So as I was telling you, if the matter comes to the regular courts, let us presume people don't know that they have to go to special court. They go to the regular court. RPD Act is allowing them. They say that yes, you can go to the regular court also. When you go, your lawyer should be able to put the issue under the RPD Act. If they don't, then the court has got authority. Who is the court? The judge has got a right. He has got a duty to tell us that yes, please, you have a special act. You quote or you refer to that act and file your case in accordance with that provisions. You will get better result and speedy remedy. This is very much there. But for that, they have to follow something called as in the next slide, I told you. Are we on the next slide, please? Common courts, civil procedure.
Yes, ma'am.
Civil procedure and criminal procedure. Civil procedure, automatically all the matrimonial issues, what you are going to talk in future, your education related, employment related, any matter that you file in the regular courts, the procedure that uniformly throughout the country we follow for any civil matter, for any general person, would be followed for the RPD. PD also. So in such situation, there is no discrimination, no difference shown. Only thing is people should come forward under right thing. Now, similarly, offenses against the body. Now you just said there would be some physical abuse and all those kind of actions against the person with disability. So the criminal procedure code would be applied. Now let me tell you one manner in which children, women, disabled, old people, and people those who don't have anybody to be taken care of are supposed to be dealt under criminal procedure. You all know, criminal procedure, people would be rough and tough. But when it comes to these kind of issues, the judges, prosecutors, everybody should treat them in a very different manner. So they get workshops, training sessions, how to deal with them, what counseling should be done. So that is what is your criminal procedure. They will follow that. Then it comes to special statute. I told you, we have this rule making part. In that, they are trained again that you will not be rough or whatever it is. You will not trouble them. You can use a video conferencing method of contacting them and all. Now, next one is Once we are done with these small things, small regular courts, whatever you have given, you can go to high courts only after you complete with all these formalities. Directly you cannot go because that would be burdened. There will be a lot of issues. So to come to high court, also you need to have certain ground before you go. So those are certain procedures that you have to follow. Then you can go directly to High Court and Supreme Court also based on your problem or issue. That is, we say we have to file certain writs. Public interest litigation is not the affected person, but on behalf of, suppose some NGO wants to file for not getting the schemes or from the government for the public in general, for the person with disability, they can file a PIL and say in so and so state, this is not happening. The commissioner's responsibility is not right or something like that. They can take it up. Like SAL is social action legislation, litigation, both are there. So litigation is on behalf of the society, I can file this for the benefit of PD. SLP is special leave petition. Pending the matter down somewhere in any of the courts, you can directly approach the higher courts, otherwise no. Still, if there is some violation made by the in Indian legislation itself, then you have International Court of Justice that comes at a later stage. Can we go to the next one, please? Can we go to the next one? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'll quickly move fast. We have something, what is a jurisdiction? Jurisdiction is place where you should file or apply or plead or complain. To have follow certain system classification. That is how the laws are made actually. So fiduciary, there should be some financial relationship first of all, like your check bounce matters and all those kind of, or employment and employee relationship where the salary is not given. I'm very specific, right? So in that situation where there is a fiduciary relationship getting violated, again, it is all of them cannot go to the High Court or Supreme Court just for 500 rupees, right? No, you need to go to Supreme Court, it should be more than 20 lakhs. If you want to go to High Court, it should be more than 10 lakhs, between 10 and 20 lakhs. Like that, we have classified based on the monetary relief or compensation you're asked. Subjective, I said, we have special civil and these courts. Original is, as I was telling you, you can go to certain courts directly, certain you can go to High Court and Supreme Court. In short, if you can see the next one, please. Are we on the next one?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we are on the next one. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Here, this is, as I was telling you, we have hierarchy of courts. So the hierarchy starts with small causes. Small causes is small matters, maybe happening in villages and all that, right? Then the next is munsif. Then we have sub-judge. Then we have district judge. And then the High Court and Supreme Court. What I was trying to tell you orally, you can see like this. So the persons with disability, where somewhere in a remote village or in a small town, if he's not getting where he is supposed to go, he should go to the municipal magistrate, municipal civil court, first class, second class, third class. We have here like this. So they have devised these. And if something happens on criminal side, you would come across in your RPD Act, if you have can go through and come, the punishments would be, or the first time the case should go to metropolitan magistrate for first class, second class, then sessions judge, severe offences of rape or physical abuse to the girl, women and all, it directly goes to the sessions court. Simple like that. Then only it goes to the high court. Can we go to the next?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. As I was telling you, there are certain provisions for High Court because first the matter should be decided within your state. Don't come directly to the Supreme Court. This is flooding of docket orders, we say. Like you are flooding lot of cases before them. So we cannot go to this. So you first, under 226, any problem with related to executives not implementing, they have rejected your request and all that, we have to go in appellate method to these courts, then to the Supreme Court. Then I've mentioned something called as tribunals and appellate boards. These appellate boards are directly for RPDM. So as I was telling you, matters begin with district civil or criminal courts at the first instance. All RPD matters would come to this courts. Forget if they're very far away somewhere, criminal matters and all, they would go to the municipal courts, but otherwise the thing goes here. Then district sessions, then appellate boards. Unfortunately, we don't have that much, we did not come to that level at the moment. Then usually people are going to high courts and appeals and all that. Probably the time is not very far where we will have special courts in every district court, right? The way family courts have come up, similarly for the person with disabilities also, it would be there, right? Can we go to the next?
Yes.
Yeah. As I was telling you, there's alternate method. What we our seniors and all way back in those days followed. It's a win-win situation where a village elder would sit and decide. So probably in future, what do you call the professionals working in special education area itself would define that. And I'm talking about the special schools. If there are certain issues or something like that, they can take up. Arbitration is you among yourself will one of them will be one senior can be taken up as a arbitrator. They would be trained and they would decide the matter. Conciliation is if somebody is disputing, try to sit with them, let them come to a common platform and decide. I'm supposed to be compensated by 5 lakhs. No, I cannot give this much. Some insurance or something like that. Then they come down to 2.5 or 3. This kind of thing will happen in conciliation. Mediation is people like all of the professionals who are working in the field. They can mediate between the conflicting parties and say that you please come forward and have a common discussion and don't dispute over. Right. Now, can we go to the next?
Yes, ma'am.
This I showed you before, but I added this win-win situation because Lok Adalats have become very prominent. Lok Adalat is now the regular courts are also scrutinizing. Why should we waste the time unnecessarily or trouble these people to come to the courts? Can this matter be resolved by compensating the loss? Give them some employment or give them some money or what is due to them should be paid back to them or something like that. This is the Lok Adalat that deciding factor. For this reason, we have, can we go to the next slide, please?
Yes.
Can we go to the next?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. We have National Legal Services Authority, right? Then we have state and district. This is working at 3 levels. I think most of you must have heard about legal aid. So this legal aid comes in 3-tier system. So persons with disabilities and women and children related, wherein they don't have any monetary, sources to go to the courts for hiring and all, or what taking up for paying the court fees. See, one thing, property matters, you have to pay the court fees because anybody cannot come to the court and fool the court's time. So if there is some house of 5 lakhs on which you are claiming something, and you have to pay some stamp duty, court fees to the courts. So in that situation, if that much money is also not there, it depends on different states. 5% on that actual value of the property. I'm just giving an example. Now that 5% also, if the people cannot pay, they can go for legal aid. So this district level people would get an applications like this. They would appoint a lawyer to argue on behalf of this person before the court. So they will compensate and they will argue, and after they win the matter, whatever property or amount comes to them, out of that the advocate will give them their fees. That would not be too much. They would have some stamp duty. There is a act for this. So free of cost, doing this service only with some benefit later on to the lawyers. This facility is available for all the persons. And can we go to the next?
Yes.
Yeah. We have catching up something called as fast track courts that has come up in all other areas. And now with the pandemic, many cases have piled up in all the areas. So now the pressure on the courts is, and in the situation is, enact a special provision and take up a court that would speed up the matter. I mean, the civil procedure which we are supposed to follow would give us some dates. Wait for this many days, wait for this many days, and then. But this faster courts will not give you dates. They'll finish immediately after 1 day, 1 day, 1 day. So very soon, probably that idea will come for finishing of the matter. And next is Gram Nyayalayas. These are going to be at the village level, right? So at village level, whoever is LLB graduate who has been studying in that place for their studies and come back in their own places with 3 years experience or something would be given matters related to what is some processing and they will decide. So there will be a very faster method in which the matter to be decided. So in short, this is, I'm telling in very, very short, this is the judicial system that is running around in the country. At the moment, with the pandemic, things have opened up through video conferencing, and now the wherever it is possible, if any government official officers are there, we are just tying up with them. If the people don't have the smartphones or anything, the parties can come to the nearest court. From there, they can speak and resolve and get the benefits what they were claiming for. What I mean, at different stages, there are different parameters. So this is how the things have been moving around. And I think with this, I think I'll stop because many of you are about to leave and I don't want to stop. If you have any doubts, you can ask, but from tomorrow onwards, directly, I'll be taking up your RPD and then the related things. Any doubts you can have or you can ask.
Yes. Please post the questions in the chat box if any queries. Yes, ma'am. Looks like
They are in a hurry to leave. They are in a hurry to leave.
Okay. Anyway, we will be joining tomorrow.
No. This was expected because first day there would be all what do you call inaugural address and all that, and right.
Okay.
I'll use
very much.
one
Yes,
minute,
ma'am.
1 minute.
Yes.
I'll just say, I'll use my disclaimer clause again. This was a
Yes.
general brief introduction to the legal system. I am not doing any comparative thing with anybody else. Yeah, somebody has a question. What is that?
Yes, Sharma, please ask your question.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, even though we have many, we have rights, we have many provisions of rights, like we have many provisions of right. For that one, fundamental rights, all of legal rights, like IPC rights, we have many rights. But even though women are facing problem, that one family violation, that one after married, after giving one child, they are facing problem with husband. Like there are many that one many women are facing problem. For that case, what I have to do, that like my village also, that many women are facing same kind of problem. How can I suggest them? Which direction I have to give them? Can you tell me, ma'am?
I would just request you to attend to the sessions regularly. Then you will understand.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
On 26, you have this family and domestic violation. So that day probably you will get the answer.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Yeah.
Surely I'll attend, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, there is one more question in the chat box, ma'am. Yeah. By Padma Sridharan. So, whom we have to approach if we come across a person with disability is unable to get an admission in school in their village or.
That will be doing tomorrow, no? Educational rights.
Yes. Okay, ma'am.
There is a procedure laid down. We cannot violate the procedure.
Yes.
We cannot violate the procedure, right?
yeah, we will, yeah, ma'am will, yeah, we will see that in next tomorrow's session, the upcoming session. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your valuable words. So your presentation is eye-opening for us, ma'am. Actually, I hope the participants will take a note, because many comments we were seeing, like it was very informative. It's a wonderful session. Yes, ma'am, it was
It's
a
an
wonderful
introductory
session.
session, no?
Yes. Even then, it is like you have given an overview about the rights perspective, that highlighted why and what love
Yeah, that has
we
to be
need for.
understood.
Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am. So we are fighting to listen many things from you, from you by this series of this webinar. So we have session tomorrow by 3 a.m. and
PM.
sorry, 3 p.m. We have a feedback. One important announcement for the participants. We have feedback link will be provided in last day in the chat. So you can give your feedback at the end of the last day, and certificate will also be given for the 5 days program at the last end. So finally, one more word, like everything was spoken by you was very valuable to us, ma'am. Thank you for joining with us today. We hope to see you after tomorrow again. Yes.
Okay,
So thank you all for joining with us. So yeah, keep staying with us in the WhatsApp group. Check the information. We will give you a link. The same YouTube link will be given tomorrow for the webinar. So the participants who are attending YouTube link and the Google Meet, yes, we request you to connect tomorrow for more interesting topics on this aspect, that is the webinar on exercising the legal rights for girls and women with disabilities. So thank you everyone. So hope to see you tomorrow again. Yes. So we can leave the meeting. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.